Hello, my name is Chris Goode and I help people transform the pain of a breakup into a life of power and purpose. So if you find yourself stuck on an ex, you're unable to move forward, you're just really struggling when it comes to the experience that you're having following your breakup, then this is going to be the video for you, because today what we're going to be discussing is exactly how to go from a place where you're either numbing out your pain through video games, through pleasure, through substances, through food, whatever it is, or you're outright just ignoring the discomfort that you're experiencing. And what I want to help you to do by the end of this video is to go from a place where you're either just passively moving through this breakup experience to actually actively playing a role in your own recovery and in your own rescue. So that way you don't have to suffer any longer than you already have. And I think the first thing that's important here is recognizing that healing is a process, and everyone's process is going to take a different amount of time. And so if we're not careful with the expectations that we carry into this healing time, what ends up happening is we can actually cause ourselves a lot more suffering than what we need to. Meaning that if you have the belief that you need to be better in a couple weeks or a month or even longer than that, in a way, you're kind of inhibiting yourself from actually healing faster, because you're placing this unnecessary burden on yourself instead of going through the process and taking the actions needed to actually heal. And just being with yourself, being with the experience of the pain that you're feeling, the grief that you're feeling, the loss that you're going through. Because that's exactly what this is. It's a kind of loss. It's no different than, say, losing something else that's meaningful. It could even be as painful as losing someone that you love, as in like someone passes away or dies. And so allowing ourselves the opportunity to actually experience the sadness, to experience the emotions that we're having, allowing them to rise up within us and to dissipate, because they will. And I know at times for some of us, these emotions can seem so intense and so potent that we run away from them because we feel like we're going to be consumed by them. And I assure you that your willingness to move along with them and to experience them fully is exactly what you need to heal as fast as possible. The other thing is learning to go through the process of self-understanding. It's taking a look with compassion to see how we've contributed to the issues that we're facing in our life, to see, how we contributed to the breakup, to see how we're playing a role in the experience that we're having. And in a way, self-understanding is about taking responsibility over our problems. And the way that you take responsibility over any issue is by first recognizing what it is that you have over. What is it that you have responsibility of? So think about this for a moment. You can't control the actions of another person. You can't control their experience. You can't control their emotions and their thoughts. But what you can do is you can work on cultivating an experience within yourself. You can make sure that the media, the things that you consume, tend to produce thoughts that grant you a sense of hope, a sense of purpose and meaning, that allow you to move forward in life instead of feeling like you're moving back. You're not looking at things that put you down or leave you fearful or anxious, but you're looking at things that lift your spirit, so that way you can move in a different direction. And as you begin to understand what it is that you need, what are your needs, what are the things that are important for you? Are you finding yourself really struggling when it comes to anxiety? Do you find yourself dealing with anger? Do you understand what these emotions signify within you? And if you're angry, it's certainly a testament to the pain that you feel, the hurt. Why do you feel so deeply wounded? And so by understanding these things about ourselves, it's a lot easier to take effective action that's going to lead us into a place where we feel transformation. And that's really the goal when it comes to this experience of healing. Is it's transformation. It's not this never-ending state of being wounded and like being less wounded. It's actually becoming something different. It's becoming someone stronger, someone who can stand tall with a sense of healthy pride, and to stand tall with a sense of strength and inspiration, to not be so crushed by the things of the past, but able to move forward with a sense of resolve. The next thing that's critically important is when you have a better understanding of yourself, it makes it so much easier to take effective action. If you find yourself constantly having expectations about what it is that you need to do, you're overthinking, you're putting your attention towards all of these things that are outside of your control, then doing something that can increase your ability to practice presence, to be embodied, to feel here and now, is going to be such a critical thing towards your healing. Or perhaps you find yourself struggling when it comes to being vulnerable, being able to be around people that allow you to feel safe and allow you the opportunity to open up with them and to share your emotions without feeling judged or criticized is going to be such a critically important part for your healing process. But you won't know what kind of actions you need to take until you begin to understand yourself better, until you begin to understand what it is that you need, to move forward. And another thing that's also so important when it comes to this, component of effective action, self-understanding, is eventually we get to the point where we know ourselves well enough to where we're able to take the right action, and we start to experience a sense of freedom in our lives because we're no longer trapped by the feedback patterns that we've been experiencing in our life. And that's precisely what being stuck is you're finding yourself in a pattern that you're not consciously aware of. And what ends up happening is you fall trapped to repeating the same actions over and over again that produce a certain kind of result and experience that leads you right back to the belief that's underlying that entire pattern. And it just keeps itself going. But as you understand who you are and what's important for you, it's going to be a lot easier to start to break that to pieces. And as you start to shift one part of the pattern, the whole thing crumbles. And then you find yourself not people pleasing anymore, or being able to be more present with yourself, able to in a healthy way express your emotions and to be vulnerable with the people that care about you and love you and support you. And all of these things can be absolutely transformative for your life, but it requires us to do that inward looking and do that deep work so that way we can move forward from where we're at. And this is absolutely the most critical thing when it comes to our personal transformation. If we don't take the time to really examine ourselves, then what ends up happening is you just repeat the same cycles over and over again. And that is a tragedy. I'm sure you've gone through that yourself, where you're just like, my gosh, why do I keep doing the same things over and over again? And it's a very common human experience. And just to give you a sense of ease, some people will find themselves troubled by the fact that they can give very effective advice to their friends or family members or their colleagues and peers, but they find themselves struggling with the same thing that they themselves are so effective at helping these people with. And it's because we swim in the waters of our own experience. And when you're standing at the dock of someone else's, it's a lot easier to help them to see the things that are out of their sight. And so as you get better at this, it's going to be easier and easier to move forward. It's going to be easier for you to see where you're running awry, where you're running astray. And being able to cultivate these things in your life is going to be absolutely transformative. So if this is like, you're just like, my gosh, Chris, this is too much. You don't know where to start. You're really struggling with applying the advice that I've presented in this video, then something like advanced conversational hypnosis, which is what I do, can be such an effective way to help you to break free of this pattern, of these patterns, by understanding yourself better. Because in a session with me, I will ask you questions that help you to internally orient, to put you in trance so that you can get in touch with the unconscious part of you and to start to see things in a different way that you're unable to see when you're just consciously aware. It's almost like navigating a dream with somebody. Or it's kind of like when I say, how are you feeling? Or what's the feeling of your feet touching the floor? All of a sudden your attention draws inward, and that's where change can happen, because what you'll notice is that things will come up to the surface, and it makes it so much easier for us to pull back and see things more clearly, because you might have no idea what the real root problem is of why you're finding yourself stuck. Some of my clients, it comes down to self-worth and the way that they respect themselves. Other people, they've needed to make big changes in their life, and that stuck feeling was just, they thought it was related to the breakup, but really what it had to do was with their life in general, and needing to make big changes because they felt like they kept running through the same routine over and over and over again. And then there's other clients that I've worked with who've dealt with narcissistic relationships, and they themselves just couldn't grasp why it is that they kept going towards somebody who's just giving them crumbs and treating them so poorly. But as you go underneath of the hood, as you dig into the unconscious, it makes it so much easier for these things to come up, so then a person can actually see things clearly and change can happen in an instant. If you found that interesting and you find yourself needing something to get unstuck and you're trying to do the actions but it's just too difficult, then book a free strategy call with me so that way we can discuss whether or not this could be a good fit for you. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please give me those thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you want me to talk about in the future, or just your thoughts in general related to this video. And thank you for watching. Take care.